Hi, ancient children of the kingdom. It's me, Suze. Tonight, I come to you with a bedtime story about nightmares. And I know that's not really a nice subject, but I've been promising a few dear friends that I would do this. And it was about a week and a half ago when I had an epiphany on a way to deliver this message. So, I hope you enjoy this. It isn't easy to hear, but there's such a wonderful, blessed ending to this story. So it's like any good childhood fairy tale. If you can get beyond what's behind the curtain, there's great rewards, and the truth is love and light always wins. So, what do we say about reoccurring nightmares and lucid dreams? Well, I have a personal witness account of this, so that's what we're going to share. And then as I go along, I want to connect it to the last year of my life and how this trauma from childhood has been set free and healed. So anyhow, here's my first nightmare from my childhood. And it involves someone, some scary thing, coming to get me and do something. So, in the early beginnings of this dream, there was no specific group. As I went on and grew up, specific groups showed themselves. But the basic core of the nightmare was that when they got me, they were going to give me a shot and eliminate me. I had been systematically targeted, and so I would kind of play a chutes and ladders, if you know what that is. So in lucid dreaming, you learn how to duck and bob and weave and somehow avoid coming face to face with that shadow figure. And as a child, I remember hearing that if you ever saw yourself die in a nightmare, that you died in real life. So early on, I knew that, and I think that that was part of the false programming right from the go, because we all have come to the understanding or the understanding now that no matter how dedicated to excellence in education, bless us all, we were fed a false program. And now that we have full disclosure at the forefront of our experience, I think that our inner world is truly reflecting the outer world. And in everyone else's world, current time, the theme seems to be that everyone is having these incredible, vivid dreams and recall and possibly scary nightmares. And everybody talks about it. Well, I really don't have these nightmares anymore. So you see, the dream actually progressed over 38 years of my life and then finally came to a stop. Now, in the middle, like I said, surely the dream did expand. And some primary examples, I would say, is the movie 1984, Big Brother. Also, the idea of, say, the followers of Christ after the, big crucifixion scene that hid out in the tunnels, in the catacombs, who were systematically hunted down. That'd be another shining example. Also, you know, a lot of people say, well, the Jews that were exterminated in World War II, everybody needs to remember that there were not only Jews exterminated, but there were gypsies, there were African Americans, there were people that posed a threat and weren't part of that core group. So it's even bigger than what people understand, I think, even now. So another way that this dream presented itself to me would be, and I don't know if anyone remembers this movie, at the age of 33, you would report to a center, and it was a painless, unemotional type of disattachment from the physical. And the way they got people to do it, I mean, these people were terribly oppressed, of course, not much different than us. And at 32, everybody became a millionaire. So they could do whatever they wanted with their 32nd year. And that was the reward for knowing that there were too many people on the planet and not enough resources. So your duty as a good citizen would be to know that you'd lived a long enough life at that point. And isn't that a beautiful synchronicity that they illustrated that point in the same way the number 33 represented what many Christians and people around the world understand to be the crucifixion of the divine. So, back to the story. I'm sorry, I got a little deep into my thought. I'd like to share with you why I had, I think, only nightmares, because, you know, I never had a happy fairy tale nice dream. There were primarily these two awful, reoccurring lucid dream sequences or programs, false programs, that would deprive me of rest. And, you know, I would spend 12 hours in bed, but wake up exhausted. So I would even time it. I could wake up and see it was 2 in the morning, and of course I'd see that at 6 and at 7:30 also. When we look at life charting, guys, the memories that we carry from the age of 3 to 7, the only understanding we have of our life is what's inside our parents' home. And my parents' home was not a place of love and light, or brightness or beauty, or flowers and sunshine. They surely weren't abusive. They were young and inexperienced, and Lord forgive them. They did not know what they do, just like the human race has done since the beginning of time. So I hold no blame. But I witnessed to this to show you a timeline and why it's important that you're able to go back and heal your inner child. And I had spoken about Dr. Hugh Len and his Ho'oponopono. And what you're doing is, you know, going back to your inner child and saying, I'm so sorry, I didn't know you were hurting that bad. I love you. Please forgive me. And so I've done that, which is a wonderful thing. So, a timeline presentation of the traumas of my life. The earliest memory is looking into a dark pool and both of my parents telling me to jump in. I was terrified. I don't think I intuitively trusted them even that early on. And they do say that the angels directly protect us until we're 3. So I was blessed there. And at the age of 3, 2 really weird things happened. Now, my first doctor, and I have written proof of this, so it's not, delusion. His name was Dr. Ebel, Ebel. And when I went in there, he told me if I wasn't good, he was going to give me extra shots. Now, who wants an extra needle? Not me. But I think that that's why that ties into that nightmare. And then, also at 3, now my dad loved collector cars and antique cars, and he had a 32 Pontiac. So they were going to a show, and the way I remember it in my mind is that they didn't want to pay for a child's admission, so they put me in a dark box and snuck me in to this car show, if you can believe this. Now, I think that's why it was always hard for me to fully relax or breathe deep or do quantum pause breathing or any kind of a structured breathing regime that would help me to develop spiritually and, of course, in my physical and astral body. Remember, this false program looks for ways to hold people down. And since I have a key piece of information, you see the focus had to be from the time I got here to hold this down. And I have sincere appreciation for the ability to put this all together. And like I said, go on to do this work now. So that was the age of 3. My dad was also a wonderful marksman. And the summer before I went to kindergarten, he was in his gun tournament, and they left me with someone that couldn't speak English. And as a kid, you do what any good kid does. You close your eyes, you spin around 3 times, and you walk. Well, I walked out behind the targets, long story short, and was almost shot. Now, for this childhood offense, I was told that I was bad because I did not stay with this woman. But of course, we understand now that she couldn't communicate with me, and I couldn't communicate with her. And I'm sure that stress and anxiety stayed with her the rest of her life. Just like when my dad almost shot me, he really wasn't involved in the gun range too much anymore. But the odd thing is that shortly in the months to come, he would begin police academy. And then we go into the next story, which is kindergarten, and my mom burnt me with boiling water, 2nd and 3rd degree burns on my face. Obviously, I was healed, and so when I tell you this, that God came for me when I was 3 years old, and of course the angels were already there, since I am a member of the family, they decided to keep me close, and that's what a loving God does, and He's done that with all of His children. So I hope this helps you to know that when you ask where God is, He's carrying you, she's carrying you in this invisible body. Alright, so now we see how the nightmares got started, right? Okay. Why haven't I been dreaming much this last decade? Because I think with all my personal soul growth that I got to do different things, and of course that's been confirmed with my incredible education. So, lost my place for a minute, hang on. the music of the spheres. Man, how cool is that when you're sleeping, or you think you're sleeping? We're really not sleeping when we're sleeping. You hear the most incredible orchestra, beautiful voices and tones and qualities. And I remember when it first happened in 2008, I knew that if I woke up to tell Joe, hey, guess what's going on, of course that it would stop. And I acknowledged that while I was in that state of bliss. And it continued on for a short time, and then I went wherever I went. Now, wise ones say that if we're not having a conscious dream going on, that it's possible that we could be in a temple. Of course, in the incredible astral kingdom where we would be being healed or educated. And so, over this, last time here, say, that would be 7 years now, that I can hear voices speaking softly to me, and I'm going through a education, and I know this to be a wonderful book that you might like would be Saint Germain on Alchemy. Elizabeth Clare Prophet, Lighthouse Summit, very good book. So I've had a lot of direct experience about that. Now, how does this tie into the nightmare? I know you're asking. So let's go back to the theme of it. Remember, they're always coming to get me, to exterminate me. I've been targeted. As I came into my adulthood, for those of you that don't know, I hung out with a famous psychic, and I saw a lot of things that terrified me, and I also saw a lot of things that inspired me. But since I had only led a fear-based life, it really wasn't possible, nor was it time, for me to explore deep matters like this. You have to go through personal growth, and surely during those years it was age appropriate, and there's different initiations. There's a great new link we shared today from the Lyricist group, and an animated David Letterman is talking to the beautiful animated Vima Lemuro, which is an incredible singer associated with Wingmakers and all the great spiritual groups. And they're having a talk about this. And Vima's in the role of the teacher, and of course Dave's in the role of the student. And she has to break it down for him like that. So it is never personal that your level at any given time is not ready to hear the entire truth. But when you actually go through the walk of discussing and sharing and opening your heart and feeling this thing, sometimes that's enough of an initiation point to create that divine, sacred magic where we are healed and we expand our consciousness. So, I've had a few encounters with this, and I'm talking about thousands in under a year now. And when I say that, for all of you that don't know, I never was on the computer, nor did I ever engage in the internet, social media, Facebook, whatnot. And my first day on was the day before Mike Brown was slain. But that was August last year, August 9th. Anniversary's coming up. So, late June, a legitimate, here on this planet, company started soliciting me to get involved, and they were persistent, and I was obstinate. But I knew I needed to do it. I needed to come along with the times. I mean, I've run a successful business for 30 years, but refused to get involved in any kind of thing that would be going on that I could benefit myself on the computer. So, when I chose to submit, like I said, that was in August. Now on September 1st, they came for me. And you know, I tell this story and I've told it so many times. And every time people will say, well, who are they? Who is it that came and got you? And you know, come on, really. I can't say it any clearer. God Almighty can communicate to us right through that electronic device. It is an incredible amount of energy, and as we know, the energy is raising on the planet. It's making changes in our body. Mark Zuckerberg himself admitted, hey guys, we're all learning telepathically. I confirmed spirit and said, that's right. That's the way I've learned everything since I've gotten on the computer. And it can either be just like us, either a divine spark of the Almighty God, or it can be a great work of darkness that sucks you in and sucks every bit of energy out. So, considering we create our own reality, when I say they came and got me, I'm talking about every celestial force that was created by the prime creator, God of the universe, which is really pretty cool. And considering I had always known that since I was 3 years old, you have to find some relief in that you know, the whole time you thought it was the bad guys coming for you. It's actually your spiritual family and it's the good guys. So here in the never-ending story, see, that's where you say, wow, that's really great, and it's great you were healed and you understand this and you've went back and you've rescued this inner child. Awesome. Now, let's go a step beyond that, shall we? And I'm trying to delve in deeper, and I want you to put the visualization of the 100-monkey proof, this phenomena that when you have, you know, some monkeys hanging out together, people, you know, whatever, the one's kind of smart and it does a new trick or something. Well, the other monkeys watch and they start to pick the habit up and they do it. And when they reach that 100th monkey, believe it or not, that all the monkeys all around the globe, or all the people all around the globe, could come into this new line of experiencing and feeling and actually finding reasons for why they believe what they believe. And it's also an incredible blessing to you, because in this way, finding out the truth does not shatter your reality. And as the energy is increasing, you see, and our DNA is being reconfigured and we're having these incredible healings, that's a lot of energy on the body. So we want to be as clear as we can as this process continues and is moving very quickly now. So I know that this journey that I have to make is crucial, so let's get right down to it, shall we? In my dream, over and over, countless times throughout 38 years, like I said, we can run and hide, but eventually I come to that place, and it's, you know, like the check-in counter somewhere, and all of a sudden I wake up. And of course that's given me blood pressure problems and every other thing over the years, and as I adapted I could do this easier without my heart rushing or having so many of the side effects of the dream, let's say. Well, after my multi-dimensional energy alignment with my wonderful sister Monica, I came into a little realization, which is that if I could just walk through that door and trust on the other side of the door, here would be my family waiting. And of course, there is no death. And even like in the old alchemy story, you know, it's kind of scary when you see it. There's a story about a king and a queen that they lay down together and, you know, they die and kind of rot and melt into each other. And then when they arise back up, they're actually one, which is kind of a creepy looking thing, I'll admit, but then they divide off into two. And as we know now, that even though I'm in a female form, I have a masculine side, and vice versa, of course, for the guys. But to be able to, like I said, allow, well, it's not even like that. It is more like my spiritual body and my astral body. Even though, here it is, it's able to still communicate with that physical body, and even though that physical body is not, say, consciously awake, that it could help the physical body or compel it, and of course I do this through visualization, to just walk through the door. So, I'm doing the best I can to walk through this door, and I feel better already. I think I've rambled just a little too much, but this was a serious subject and I wanted to cover all points. Did I do that? Okay. I think I did that, you guys. I really do. Wow. Namaste. And thank you for being involved in this process. I'm going to leave you with this. You know, sometimes I talk about orgonite, and you can find out all sorts of information, of course, on YouTube, and you can Google it and every other thing. We just got a beautiful new charging plate. So say, for example, they've done studies, and these are scientifically proven, where you buy a couple apples, and you put the one apple on the charging plate, and then you just have an apple sitting on the counter, right? And the one on the charging plate will stay fresher longer. Of course, you can also charge water. We do the shungite water and the elixir water, as you know. Peace out. Oh, love and light from the third cosmic ray, too. And of course, I'm Suze, the holistic stylist. I have a channel, Suze Pratt, and I'll see you on Facebook. Bless your hearts. Good night.